ever seen a nigga that looked like a linebacker in the face? He looked like a linebacker.
The tailback and everything else.
That nigga chin is this wide. Got a crimson chin.
Like Natalie Nunn.
Dang.
Got a chin like Natalie Nunn. Chin so big she like the crimson one from the show.
Did you watch that preseason game the other night?
No, I didn't. Watching my nigga.
Hey, that nigga Deshaun Watson better do something.
Who he play for?
He played for the Browns, but that nigga that they drafted, Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yes.
That nigga nice, bro. Kind of nice.
He better than me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Got way more accuracy and shit, you know.
Quarterback?
Yeah, hell yeah. He ain't got them DB in him.
Shit. You crazy. I catch like a wide receiver. Nigga do it daily. Fuck around with these bitches. That shit was crazy. I couldn't believe that shit.
I was a lineman. They could have put in the pass plays at the goal line. That's how soft my hands is. I could Tony toe tap too.
For real?
Yeah.
I ain't even ready for that shit. I said I ain't even ready for that shit.
Football?
Madden, none of that old shit like that.
I'm ready for all the smoke. I'm calling niggas out the first week.
I'm ready for the Mortal Kombat though.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready for that.
I'm gonna play some shit if I think I still got it.
Let me ask you a question, man.
What?
Do you think the whip out method is still the best method on pulling the bitch?
I'll talk about it. I don't give a fuck if bitches get offended, any of that shit, get mad. One thing I hate about relationships, and I feel like this is the problem with black relationships nowadays, is that if we don't jump for one another, we not worth it. I feel like majority of the time it's one-sided. A lot of the relationships. And I hate that shit because it's literally like if you don't do what one is expected of, and particularly doing on as far as my experiences with females that I've dealt with and stuff like that, it's like if I don't move how they want me to move or do what they want me to do in a timely manner that they feel like it should be done, and I don't care about them, or I put them second, or I put them on the back burner and stuff like that. Not thinking about me having other stuff to do.
Most people all about themselves, man. And some people overdo things, and when they feel like they don't get that same love back, they tend to get mad because they over-exhausting themselves.
Yeah.
When it really wasn't asked of them. That's just how they are. So it's like, you know, your best bet is to find somebody that's either like that or either learn how to cut back on certain shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it's some guys do it. Some guys try to shower girls with gifts and stuff like that. And that ain't always the way to somebody hard.
Nah.
Sometimes people need space. Sometimes people might want you around, but it don't mean that they care any less about you. It's just sometimes people
they just need that space.
Yeah, man. Like I'm a person where I don't mind the love and affection, but I definitely got my times where I want to be to myself.
That's a fact.
I got my times where I need to be by myself so I can figure some things out. You know, when I need you to be there, you could be there, but I'm also knowing that you might need me to be there for you too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying it's one-sided, like be there when I need you to, be there on command. It ain't nothing like that. But some people, it is like that with them. They want somebody there on command.
And that's not realistic. It's selfish too. Very selfish mindset to have, because it's like I said, you don't know what people are going on, what got going on, and what they going through at that time. The only thing that you know is that like you said, I overexhaust myself, so I expect you to do the same thing. But even when it's communicated that you don't have to do the extra, you still do it anyway. after a while, it's just like, fuck it, why fight? Because you're gonna do what you're gonna do anyway. So it has nothing to do with taking advantage of anybody or using anybody. It's just that to the point where if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, why should I keep telling you something? Because you're either gonna get tired of doing what you're doing, or I'm gonna get tired of you complaining about it. You know what I mean? And that's just, that goes for any man, any male. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just say it, don't do it.
Yo, Luca, what the fuck is this?
I don't care about none of that shit. Sit down. Punk ass dog. Man, listen.
This shit good.
Y'all forgive me, man. I'm a little thrown off, and she just came back from a funeral. You know what I mean? So I gotta recuperate. But I just want to say first and foremost, man, R.I.P. Money Guru. You know what I'm saying, Montel. But other than that, you know what I mean. It's another episode of the 30-Minute Smoke Break podcast. We talking about some serious shit, man. It might not even be too many jokes. I'm gonna just keep it 100 with you with this shit. But it's just something that just I feel like need to be communicated. And we're not trying to offend nobody. We're just speaking from a man's perspective, in particular the black man's perspective. So can you fix it for me? Like that. But with your finger,
I almost put the lid parts in my damn mouth.
Yeah, but like I said, man, just forgive me for everything that's going on. We're going through some things right now. But anyway, you know, like I said, this is another episode of 30-Minute Smoke Break podcast. We're talking about some real shit, black relationships and all that old shit. Man. So, yeah, but after a while, I just feel like as a black man, our feelings don't get taken into consideration enough, especially in relationship wise. I mean, just societal in general. You know what I mean? But I feel like we're supposed to take what we get and supposed to give the opposite.
I think the main problem be for us is us as black men. We tend to internalize everything.
Yeah.
And we don't really let nobody in sometimes.
How can we though?
Because it's so strict on how you let somebody in. If you too emotional, then you a bitch. And if you're not emotional enough, then you know you too cold.
You're emotionless. You don't have no feelings and all this other shit.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to try to figure out, man. And it just takes time, man. Like some people it happens earlier. Some people it happens when kids and stuff get involved. You tend to get more emotional. That's how my dad was. He wasn't really like what you call no real emotional person besides showing his anger when he was younger. But as he got older, he cried and shit. He, you know, started being more feeling towards shit. So it's just how I go, man. Like,
but how important do you feel like it is, just from your perspective, how important do you feel like it is for communication as far as from a black man?
communication is the main problem why relationships fail. It's no communication or lack of communication.
It's
Everybody,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Everybody just tends to go with what they believe is the case, and don't really find out facts sometimes. It's just, I need what I need, I want what I want, and if I can't get it at that time, I'm gonna find somebody else that's gonna give it to me.
And at that time, you're gonna find that person that's gonna be able to provide, but what else they gonna be like? What are the areas they lack off at? Because eventually you're gonna get tired of that.
Well, really, they gonna do everything that you want them to do because it's how it goes. It's kind of how evil shit go. It goes in the ways of it feel like it's right because it's what you want, but then you quickly normally find out that it ain't nothing that you want. They just put it on the act because this is what they know you wanted.
The best shit, man, ladies, is the situations where niggas being themselves. Because if you hang with a nigga and he got a lot of traits that you kind of don't like, you feel like he can work on, but you still fuck with him, then that's the best nigga to be with, for the simple fact that it can only get better. Because if a nigga showing you his worst, or him just as a whole, and you can deal with the shit, it can only get better. You just gotta accept what come with it, and accept the nigga that you have as a personality. Because you can't be out here having niggas want to accept you, your personality, your behaviors, the things that you do and like to do, and who you hang out with and everything as a whole. But we have to change and alter our lifestyle because we with you. So if there's no compromise in that shit, then you gonna have a hard time with a lot of relationships. But you can't expect that.
Yeah, compromise goes both ways. Can't be on one side. It's not fair, and that's really not the best way to keep a relationship going. A lot of relationships is be one-sided. It's normally whoever's the provider. I mean, a lot of black relationships out here, I say on the standard level. Unfortunately, a lot of the times the woman be the provider, and when she's the provider, it's not properly where she's in position like she's supposed to be. So with that happening like that, they tend to take more masculine roles. Mm-hmm. I know this girl, she's our age, but she has been doing it all on her own. And when she did have boyfriends, she was taking care of them. So she told me, this is out of her mouth, she said it made her more masculine in a way of she didn't know how to be submissive to a man properly. And you know, it's one thing to do something for somebody, and it's a whole nother thing to do it because you love them and not just because you feel obligated to. Because so if you feel obligated to do something for somebody, or you know they ain't got nobody else to depend on, after a while
you get tired of that shit. Yeah.
So it get to a point where you're gonna start throwing this shit back up in their face. And you could say, well, I wouldn't go do it at first, but he just kept, doing the same old shit. But you knew that when you met him. Mm-hmm. You was getting with him trying to change him, trying to make him into what you want him to be, instead of going after what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people will settle out for pleasure. A lot of people will settle out for looks. A lot of people will settle out for money. It's just depending on what you're willing to settle for. Now, just because you settled for that, and that's the case, now that you want better and they not trying to do anything better, you can't be mad at that. You should have let that shit be known from the beginning. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You always put out on the table what you want. Now, if you didn't know you wanted it at first, now I'm looking at you far as your age and shit like that. That's on you. Yeah. If you older, or if you mature supposed to be, I say 25 or older. You get to the point in life where you're supposed to start knowing what the hell you want.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're not knowing that, and you can't relate that, or you can't communicate that, how is somebody supposed to know? You just supposed to assume that's what you want me to be at. Like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of common sense, but if somebody don't have it and you knew that, damn, don't trip on them now. And just because some people choose people in them positions. I told you, my neighbor, man, she only mess with guys that ain't got shit going for themselves. Because when she want them there, they there. And when she done with their ass, they gone. Mm-hmm. She ain't really looking for nothing serious. She just looking for something to do for the time.
You think what people want though, like because the main thing, like you said, is trying to change your partner. So do you feel like, from a male's perspective, the things that we want is respected, or you feel like it's just all about changing? Because I know exactly what I want. Well, at the moment, right now, and that's just somebody I can have companionship with, somebody that I can chill with, be comfortable talking to. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I see a name pop up, I'm not thinking like, man, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, less arguments, the better.
What it's gonna be today.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, don't nobody want that shit, and that's something that I try to avoid. I also want somebody that's just understanding. You know what I mean? Like, fully understanding. And what I mean by fully understanding, I mean, like, if we're having a dispute or a conversation to where nobody can see from each other's perspective, the argument, whatever you want to call it. I don't want you to listen to respond. I want you to listen to understand, listen to hear. Because when you listen and just to respond, we're not getting nowhere. And you can't blame nobody in the relationship but yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of people miss that point. You know, a lot of people don't know that every time is not a time for you to speak. Sometimes it's a time for you to get that listening ear, man. And like, you speaking sometimes can throw the whole shit off. I know I done had several conversations with different people. It could have been the person I was with at the time. It could have been a parent. It could have been a sibling. You know, if I'm coming to you to talk about something and I got an issue, don't tell me, well, I think I didn't ask you about none of that. I'm just telling you something. Now, it's one thing if I keep constantly coming to you, but I'm not the person that's gonna come and tell all my business. If I'm coming to you to talk about some shit, it's some serious shit. I ain't just telling you every damn single detail of my life. I don't operate like that. So,
You're not supposed to.
So that shit pisses me off right there. That shit would make me shut down and make me end the conversation. I start talking about some shit that I ain't really even concerned about. I done did that shit multiple times. It's hard to talk to some people, especially like I could be. I'm gonna put this shit in the best way. I could be a passionate person at times. I'm not really what you call a talkative person, but shit that really bothers me or shit that really get to me, I'm passionate about that shit.
You like Pac said.
Yeah.
And what's the name? I can be a feeling if you let me, a motherfucker if you do upset me.
Yeah. So, you know, it might not be big shit to other people, but it's big shit to me. I hate stupidity. I hate ignorance. I hate people that don't worry about their own problems. Everybody's so focused on what everybody else doing wrong that they ain't focused on what the fuck they doing.
That's a fact. When you worry too much about other people, you lose track, man, of what the fuck is important to you. Stop worrying about everybody else shit. I think, like you said, that's the problem, man. Like, you start to make when you worry about other people's problems and shit like that, you're making other people shit your shit, and you don't have to do that. You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't be doing that in the first place, especially if you know you got a lot going on too.
And another thing you can't do, you can't have an image of what you want your life to be, and your image don't include what that person you with wanted to do or anything like that. It's all about you.
Yeah.
Everything can't be revolve around you. And that's some shit that a lot of like women don't like that I done dealt with. Cause I just come out and I tell you that, like, yo, you know the world don't revolve around you, right?
It doesn't.
Oh, mad and shit. And it's like,
What you mean by that?
nah,
Exactly what I said.
it's a fact. Like, yo, just like relax, man. Relax. It's all about what the fuck you want to do. What about what the fuck I want to do?
Yeah. Because we got to the point. We've gotten to the point now where I feel like it's like, fuck a happy wife, happy life, nigga. Happy spouse, happy house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's a two-sided coin, man.
it is.
I seen this shit today. It was a video, like a reel or some shit. But nah, it wasn't a reel. It was a long-ass video. It was like 15 minutes. And normally when shit over 5 minutes, I ain't about to sit here and even watch it. Especially if it ain't something I'm want to look at. Like, man, I'm going to skip through that shit. I ain't about to look at that. But this nigga was talking, and him and his girl was heading to this wedding. And it was her sister's wedding. His girl told him right before they went, basically, all right, just want to let you know this shit so you won't be weirded out about it. Me and him fucked around for like a weekend 4 years ago.
Nah, B.
So I'm like, okay, that's like, okay, why are you telling me this shit now like this? Like, you could have left that in the past. But this the kicker. They've been together for 5 years, but they only been married 3. So she told him, you know, like, I ain't fucked him since we been married. I just fucked him while we was together, but we wasn't married at the time.
Nah, B.
And he still married her?
They was still together. They was married already. They was married for 3 years. So
I probably would have had to let her go out shortly after that.
bro, like, so some shit, they went to the wedding and shit. He said she wound up taking the first dance with this nigga. And he stayed there for it. And I'm like, nigga, you crazy. That's what I'm thinking to myself already. Damn! So they get back to the crib and shit. So he had an issue with her about that shit because he ain't like how the shit went. And
She pulled a Kiki
she wound
Palmer.
up having a mental breakdown, like a breakdown or whatever, a panic attack, because she realized that her marriage was about to be over behind this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they leave the hospital, they get back home. The dad comes to him and he tells him, man, I apologize because this is my fault. I should have never allowed my wife to put it in her head that
What
if
kind of
you
nigga
mess
is you?
around with somebody before you married, it's not cheating because you wasn't married yet.
What kind of nigga is you?
So I'm like, it's people really out here raising their kids to think like that, man. So that shit coming from your parent, that's not a self-learned lesson. Man, you really probably
That nigga
fucked
better
up
listen
in
to
this
some
world.
Future or something.
Shit was just crazy.
I'm
to me,
telling
bro.
you, nigga.
Nah, B.
For real.
Me personally, I probably would have left. I probably wouldn't even stay with her, especially like,
Nigga hit her with one of these
I
right
would have
here.
fucked the whole wedding up. Yeah.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
You just gotta let it play out.
I promise you. I promise you. Shit crazy, man. Like, people minds, man, it's so fucked up out here. Like, motherfuckers say, oh, we in the talking stage, so that mean I can fuck 4 other people because we in the talking stage. I say,
What?
damn.
Man, you crazy, bitch. That shit don't even sound like you ain't even supposed to stay with no shit like that. Like I said, man, I done hit hoes for less. Not hit them, but not hit them for less. Because it's like, how can you be that bold to say something and then expect me to be comfortable with you? I think the only female I respected was the Jersey joint. When I had asked her questions, she was like, "Don't ask me questions that you don't want to know the answer to." And at first, that shit hurt, but I'm like, "You're right. Why the fuck I need to?" You know what I mean? And ever since then, I stopped asking certain questions.
You better not. Don't get
You don't
that.
need to.
Nah.
I don't answer questions. I don't go through no phones. I don't do none of that shit because it's like, why do I need to do that? Because if you get caught slipping, it's gonna come up anyway. Especially if a nigga pay attention to the person they with.
People say you can't tell, but you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. You know, 100% you can tell.
And if you can't tell, it's because you ain't really connected to your mate like you think you would.
You ain't paying attention. You don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood, or you doing some dirty shit your goddamn self. That's a possibility.
Most of the time, it's you do some dirty
Shit your other
yourself.
self, yeah. Hell yeah. But then until you find out what the fuck she doing. But see, I think that's the thing that, like, with men, like, even though it's not justified, we're not justifying cheating. Black men don't cheat, no way. But the reason why men can cheat 100 times, and if a woman cheat once, is because when men cheat, we cheat with females who we know we're not gonna go back to, like, relationship wise. You know what I'm saying? We might go back for the physical aspect of it, but we're not going back because we love or care about this person. We're going back because the pussy good and whatever circumstances they got going on at the house. Whether you just got a dog ass nigga or whether you got a nigga that's just tired of going through your bullshit, he doing it. But when a female cheat, they getting with a nigga that they would have a relationship with, and then they always have intimate sex. We just be fucking. Y'all be trying to goddamn build a family with the next nigga, and you already got one with the nigga you trying to get rid of.
Yeah, they're talking about soul ties and shit
Like that.
Like,
Well, how,
man,
you ain't never talk to me about no shit like that,
I
bitch.
don't
What
care
the fuck?
about none of that shit. I'm trying to fuck you.
But see that, and see the thing about it is that that's what the main, like, this. It's not a movie. Like, you're not gonna cheat on your husband with a nigga and he fall in love with you and y'all supposed to get married and stuff like that. And you choose him because he driving a AMG and make $30 an hour and all this old shit like that and wear designer. And your homeboy, it work. You know what I'm saying? A regular job, it work. He fresh. I ain't talking about myself, but you know what I mean. Like, you still choosing something up just because of what you like or what you think you like. That's how that girl got AIDS off that movie. That Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And every time what you like ain't what's for you.
Nah, hell no.
Most of the time, the shit that we want is the worst shit for us.
Everything that glitter ain't gold. It could be CZ.
Yeah.
Cubics of motherfucking chromium. No particular reason. I'm gonna just keep this one short. Experimental purposes. I'm explaining to you. But this has been another episode of the 30-Minute Smoke Break Podcast. I'm your host, your friendly neighborhood nephew, Slick with the Ruler.
And I'm your co-host, Quan Goddard.
And we out.